Ladies and gentlemen, why are federal tax dollars used to indict Trump by state prosecutors in New York who are lifelong liberal Democrats? How on earth is that democratic or part of democracy upholding our Republican democracy? How does that uphold the Constitution when you have a separation of powers and you have a federal government and a state government? How can you use federal funding to go after a candidate for federal office, the presidency, if you're a state prosecutor? This is very interesting. House GOP is preventing this from taking place. They're defunding Alvin Bragg's office. New GOP bill would revoke federal funding for Bragg's office, escalating war over Trump criminal case. House Republicans introduced legislation on Thursday that would revoke all federal funding for Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg's office and other state prosecutors who investigate current and former presidents. The latest move in the House GOP's ongoing battle with Bragg over his criminal prosecution of former President Donald Trump. Now, this is very interesting because there's no FEC crime. Where is the federal crime? Why is there federal funding for 34 misdemeanors? So paying Michael Cohen the money that actually was sent for legal services, unlike the Steele dossier, because the Steele dossier, Clinton and the DNC used campaign funding and claimed it was legal services. They paid attorneys and law firm for legal services. Okay? And they were fined because they broke FEC laws. The FEC did not find that Trump deserved a fine or any punishment for paying Michael Cohen. The federal government, the Department of Justice under Merrick Garland, the FEC, the agency, the federal agency in charge of looking at whether or not Trump committed a federal crime, stated that he didn't even warrant a fine. He didn't even warrant a monetary fine, much less any prison time, okay? But the Manhattan District Attorney is utilizing a federal statute to elevate 34 misdemeanors into 34 felonies, utilizing federal funds to do so, and guess what? There's no federal crime. The FEC didn't even fine Trump. All that money, and I used to be the biggest Bernie Sanders booster on the internet, according to the Huffington Post, and I was the unofficial scribe of Sanders' most hardcore voters, according to the Washington Post, and I wrote in the Federalist years back why people should choose Trump, especially if they were voting for Bernie Sanders. And I explain why. When people can't understand, it's not a problem with my vantage point. It's perhaps their ignorance. But anyway, when people can't understand, how'd you go from Bernie to Trump? It's like, well, I wanted record low poverty, and I wanted a foreign policy that promotes peace around the world. Now we might have, God forbid, a second invasion with Taiwan. That would be absolutely catastrophic, but that's also under Biden's administration. We have a terrible, terrible quagmire and endless conflict in Europe. With Trump, we had the Doha Agreement, Abraham that Biden completely botched, May 1st, 2021 withdrawal, Abraham Accords, first president stepped foot in North Korea. We were not 90 seconds to midnight. There was no invasion in Europe under Trump. We did not have 6% inflation. We did not have real wages down under Trump. Real wages were up. And we had the highest ever household median income with record low poverty in 2019. What is there not to like? Oh, that's right. The Helsinki Conference. Oh my God. Everything's been around about Trump's personality. The sky is literally falling. They thought the sky was falling when we had a good economy. Then in the last year in his office, not his fault. He can't control what Democratic governors do. And they gleefully tank their state economies. But anyway, and they didn't have to. That was a choice. That was a bad choice. Just like all the other bad choices and decisions they made that last year. Hit subscribe to this channel right Now they're defunding the Manhattan District Attorney in terms of federal funding. Okay? They're defunding the Manhattan District Attorney's office. You can't use federal funds to go after a candidate for federal office if you are an opposing political party. And even if you were never Trumpers, you couldn't do that. Okay? I mean, the Democrats impeached Trump for trying to interfere, for asking another country's president, by the way, that country invaded under Biden's watch, another country's president, if he committed a criminal act. You understand the way things work? Trump was impeached for an ellipsis that claimed he was going to withhold military assistance when Biden actually stated, you're not going to get $1 billion in loan guarantees unless you fire a prosecutor. And then all the smartest people in the room said, no, that was a good thing. He was firing a prosecutor because the prosecutor wasn't doing his job. Since when does an American president tell anyone in any other country to fire an official? When has that happened before? Where's the precedent here? Now, that's a whole other story, okay? But here you have the most obvious example of interfering with Democrats in New York trying desperately to just find some kind of felony. You wouldn't have to be so creative in the indictment with Hunter. There are clear felonies there, financial crimes, but also other crimes, even in the photos. You wouldn't have to be creative. Everyone on the planet is asking, well, why isn't Hunter indicted? And Joe, because Joe gets 10% according to one of the emails. And like everyone sees the double standard. Go to hjgoodman.com, ladies and gentlemen, to read my writing in The Hill, The Huffington Post, Salon, The Jerusalem Post, The Federalist, other publications. Go to contactgoodman88@gmail.com to be part of a newsletter. And the super thanks is below, next to the like and the share buttons. And also the Patreon. My Patreon is below, ladies and gentlemen. But this is a really interesting, if you want to support my work long term, it's greatly appreciated. This is an interesting Forbes article. New GOP bill would revoke federal funding. House Republicans introduced legislation on Thursday that would revoke all federal funding from Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg's office and other state prosecutors who investigate current and former presidents. The latest move in the House GOP's ongoing battle. I mean, Democrats should want this. Here's the funny, hilarious thing about all of this. When Trump Republicans decide that they want to investigate Hunter or Hillary Clinton's servers again, which you could say, well, some statutes fall past, and I think Hillary Clinton will be the 24 nominee for the Democratic Party. But if they want to start indicting people for actual crimes, it's the Democrats who committed actual crimes. Can't have servers siphoning classified data. The whole classified data thing with Biden and Trump, that's a political stunt to make everything morally relative. A Clintonian this is the way the Clintons do business in terms of politics is everything has to be morally relative. So, Trump and Stormy, same thing with Monica Lewinsky, but actually, you know what? It's not the same thing. It's actually the perjury. Bill Clinton committed perjury, so it's not the same thing. Trump didn't commit perjury. Classified data with Trump, and I think Hillary will be the 24 nominee. But classified data, same thing. No. Trump didn't have servers siphoning classified. You can't take top secret intel and put it on servers. How does that even, from a cyber security perspective, how is it even possible? But the Honorable James Comey said, yeah, laws were broken, but no reasonable prosecutor would indict. So Trump didn't commit crimes. They're like, how do we find a crime with Trump? Misdemeanors, and suddenly they're elevated to felonies. Suddenly we'll get the misdemeanors to be elevated to felonies because of an FEC crime that didn't exist. The FEC didn't even find Trump. But see, you want to play that game where you're indicting former presidents. There's more to indict on the Democratic Party side. Much more. That laptop alone is endless crimes. Give me your thoughts below. Hit subscribe, right? I'll be back in a couple of hours.